Hello everyone, welcome to the Generation Y Conservative. I'm glad that you could join us this week. Tonight's topics, we're talking about, a little surprise for you here, we're going to start off with soccer as a first topic for you.
I'm all for that.
We're also going to be talking about a white woman who now identifies as a black woman, and we're not talking about Rachel Dasnell. This is a new one.
Yeah.
Here in the U.S. We're also going to be talking about Trump a lot tonight. Okay. Usually he's been left out. We typically don't talk about him too much, but we're going to be going over things from him going overseas to the protest overseas to his Supreme Court pick, which was decided earlier this week.
Yep.
It feels like weeks ago, actually, for all that.
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about a couple other things, too. A big case that happened, actually, in regards to a guy suing the government over the right to print guns, 3D print guns. And it's not being talked about in the news too much. I think it's a really interesting case, plus where it's going and everything. And some little bits of information that kind of went along with that as well. So we're going to be talking about these topics and more. This is the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. Guys, welcome to the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. I am Chris, your host, or at least I identify that way. And this is Mike, the co-host here. So we're going to get started into tonight. If you're watching right now, you can follow along on Facebook Live. When we go live, just search for the Generation Y Conservative Facebook page. Hit like and also then get the click the little button that says get notifications. If you're watching live right now, I would also encourage you to hit that little share button down there as well, and tag some friends that may be interested in the discussion as well. Also, you can find me on Twitter. Just follow along at Gen Y Conservative without the E on the end. On YouTube, you search for the Generation Y Conservative YouTube channel, where you'll actually find this podcast and bits and pieces from it as well that you might find interesting from each week. And we also upload our movie reviews. We're actually going to be filming a little bit afterwards, after the podcast tonight, on the Ant-Man and the Wasp review. And we're also a little bit behind on some of those reviews as well. So. What are you going to do? We're both busy. We actually work for a living.
Yeah, I know, right?
Podcasts don't pay the bills.
Yet,
yeah. So also, if you're interested, you can actually listen to the audio portion of this podcast if you choose not to watch these beautiful faces. Baby faces, by the way, except for some beards. You can listen to the audio podcast on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. on KLRN Internet Radio, where they have also put me on iTunes, iHeart, and Google Play. And there's what was the other one?
Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts,
yep.
Okay. So all you have to do is search for the Generation Y Conservative Podcast, subscribe to it there, and again, any of these, share with friends and family and tag people that may be interested in these types of topics, especially if they're apolitical and actually like a sense of humor. Yep. That's what we try to infuse with these. Okay, so while we're getting started here, we were actually talking about, I'm not a soccer guy. At all. I don't care.
It's awesome.
So, but you're a big soccer person. What are your team? Who was your team? Who is your team?
Blah, blah, blah. Internationally for like the World Cup, Portugal, obviously. And I used to follow Real Madrid, but now I'm a big Juventus fan since they signed Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay.
Yep. Well, so a little fun fact, by the way, the transfer of Ronaldo from Real Madrid to Juventus, people kind of wonder, like, what do soccer players make? How do they compare to athletes here in the States? His transfer from Real Madrid to Juventus is double the value of LeBron's from Cleveland to
no kidding
to LA Lakers. Just so you know.
So it's kind of it's like a big sport.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big sport. He's making about 65 euros a second.
Oh my gosh. Euros. That could be $60,000 a second. That could be $10 a second.
I think it's about like, it would be about 85,
Gotcha.
about 85 or 90 a second.
So I think you actually tagged me in one of these articles this week as well, but I did find it on the Daily Mail. It says that FIFA orders the World Cup broadcasters to stop zooming in on hot women in the crowds during their games. FIFA wants to crack down on broadcasters picking out hot women in the crowd. Among those distracting attention is former adult star Natalia Nemchinovova.
Want to look at you more.
Anti-discrimination campaigner said sexism is the biggest problem at Russia 2018.
Yeah,
so,
none of these women said that.
Yeah.
These other people said that.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
Now, as I said, obviously I don't watch soccer. So I don't tune in for any of this stuff. Do you notice this type of camera action, basically?
Not really. Every once in a while, but I mean, it's just they show other fans. They show fans all the time.
Yeah.
Drunk guys. They show a lot of reaction shots from the watch parties of whatever country. So, like, let's say England scores a goal, and then it cuts to like London watch party, and there's just beer flying all over the place.
So would it be discrimination not to show these fans?
It would be, as a matter of fact. I would 100% agree with that.
We'll throw the pictures up on the screen in the YouTube version and everything, but we're looking at some of the pictures right here,
and it'll make you want to watch soccer.
But I mean, come on. Is this girl dressing like this because she's a soccer fan or because she wants the attention?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
No, I understand. I understand the old argument about like she was asking to be sexually harassed because of what she was wearing. I'm not saying that. I think that argument is ridiculous. But when you go out and show up to a game looking like this,
that's definitely a "hey, look at me" outfit.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about very short boy-style cut, like gym shorts and a very small tank top.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's it, waving a flag.
Yeah, and then but there's a lot of clips of other girls that are just pretty girls wearing the jersey. A lot of them
in like a full outfit.
Yeah, a lot of them too. They show a lot of the players' wives and girlfriends, which are like all supermodels. It's ridiculous, and a bunch of dudes. Yeah, the Swedes. There you go.
Women.
Yeah.
So so they want to knock that off.
So this
apparently it's sexist.
Yeah, and this apparently was in the article that I sent you. They kind of went through the history of this tactic. They call it the honey shot or something like that, and it's basically just cutting to pretty girls in the audience. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Does it bring in people? Does it bring in the watchers?
No.
You don't think so? Do you think it keeps them there?
Yeah.
Is that about money? Keeping people watching?
I guess.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is,
apparently if they're making that much money per second in some of these cases, then obviously it is about money.
And the other thing during soccer too, there aren't commercial breaks. So there aren't sponsors.
Oh, really?
Because it's just the 45-minute halves.
Do they wear sponsorships all over their jerseys?
Yeah, they do. Not for the national teams.
Okay.
National teams don't have ads, but the club teams do. But this story's kind of gone beyond that. CNN posted a video that I actually watched with Tracy of the reporters, like female reporters, outside of the stadiums or at the watch parties, like fans are going up and kissing them and stuff like that. And CNN was basically talking about like, this is so sexist, blah blah blah. And I watched a really good video about it, and there are reporters getting kissed too by guys, by girls. And then this guy also showed clips from like the Olympics. The girls from Good Morning America, the older actual hosts, rubbing the tongue and stuff.
Yes, I remember
those
that
guys rubbing the oil into those guys, and he's like that. So, and he made a really good point. I think the YouTube channel, just to cite it, was Nuance Bro. He does like kind of man on the street videos too. Okay. But he made a really good point that this is not a sexist thing. This is just people behaving badly, getting drunk and just acting stupid. You know, it really doesn't have to do with sexism or racism or like any of this isms. It's just humans acting like idiot humans.
Like sexual harassment is one thing, obviously. Inappropriate touching, inappropriate remarks and everything, but putting a camera view on someone because they're good looking, is that a bad thing now? No. To acknowledge a beautiful person, whether it's a guy or a girl. I'm just saying. Yeah. The cameras don't exactly cut off when a guy scores a goal and then slides on his knee and rips off his shirt. They don't cut away the camera then either. You know what I mean?
No. And they cut to male fans, they cut to kids, and they cut to girls, and they cut to everybody. And the reaction's always the same too. When they see themselves on the screen, it's like, oh, I'm on TV. They're just trying to ruin everything.
What else
it's
is
just these people in their groups, social justice warriors, just trying to ruin everything for everyone.
Okay, so let's move and shift over to this. This is actually from Wired.com. It says a landmark legal shift opens Pandora's box for do-it-yourself guns. Cody Wilson is 5 years ago, he was a 25-year-old radical libertarian who stood on a remote central Texas gun range and pulled the trigger on the world's first fully 3D printed gun. When, to his relief, his plastic invention fired a .38 caliber bullet into a berm of dirt without jamming, a .380, without jamming or exploding in his hands, he drove back to Austin and uploaded the blueprints for the pistol to his website, DefCAD, I think is how you would say it, .com. He'd launched the site months earlier along with an anarchist video manifesto declaring that gun control would never be the same in an era when anyone can download and print their own firearm with a few clicks. In the days after that first test firing, his gun was downloaded more than 100,000 times. Wilson made the decision to go all out on the project, dropping out of law school at the University of Texas, as if to confirm his belief that technology supersedes the law. It says, I'm gonna read through a little bit of this because it's just kind of background. I'm bringing this up to what just happened then with it. It says the law caught up. Less than a week later, Wilson received a letter from the U.S. Department demanding that he take down his printable gun blueprints or face prosecution for violating federal export controls. Under an obscure set of U.S. regulations, by the way, this is during Obama's term, so you can imagine why this happened. An obscure set of U.S. regulations known as the International Trade in Arms Regulations, ITAR for short, Wilson was accused of exporting weapons without a license, just as if he'd shipped his plastic gun to Mexico rather than put a digital version of it on the internet. He took defcad.com offline, but his lawyer warned him that he still potentially faced millions of dollars in fines and years in prison simply for having made the file available to overseas downloaders for a few days. He said, "I thought my life was over." Instead, Wilson has spent the last years in an unlikely project for anarchists, not simply defying or skirting the law, but taking it to court and changing it. In doing so, he has now not only defeated a legal threat to his own highly controversial gunsmithing project, he may have also unlocked a new era of digital do-it-yourself gun making that further undermines gun control access across the United States and the world. Another step towards Wilson's imagined future where anyone can make a deadly weapon at home with no government oversight. Obviously, bias is showing in this article in regards to how they feel about it. Right off the bat, they say it's a bad idea, right? This guy is an anarchist in a couple ways. He doesn't believe in copyright protection or anything like that, right? So, right off the bat, he is an enemy to entrepreneurism, right? And making money on your own idea, at least for a little, until the patent runs out and people can copy it, right? And enhance the idea and stuff like that. But he's also like a crypto anarchist and everything. He believes... I don't know. I heard an interview with him today where he was talking about the benefits of cryptocurrency, that it's a frictionless movement online, and that you're fine.
I don't know what the benefits of cryptocurrency are, by the way.
Are you watching your stuff?
Every couple of a week or two, I check it.
Yeah. Is it down or?
And now it's kind of plateaued.
Yeah. How far down, percentage-wise?
I mean, I didn't do a lot. It was just more of a fun. I was expecting if I lost it all, that's fine. I mean, so it was percentage-wise, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's gone down more than 50%.
Okay.
Yep. So. But hanging in there, see what happens.
But he also was, I think, campaigning to be on the board for Bitcoin in order to destroy it.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you the votes.
But here's what happened. He actually took on the United States government in a lawsuit, suing them for shutting him down, basically, and everything. And this week he won. He won the right to be able to sell these 3D printing machines for guns. He won the right to actually put blueprints online for guns. And in that decision, it was also mentioned which David Hogg is rolling over in his little Barbie sleeping bag right now, that the government acknowledged that the AR-15 is not a military-style weapon, but a sports hunting rifle. Okay?
Yeah.
But they acknowledge that it's not a military-style weapon, and which certainly not an assault rifle, which is a made-up term and never existed before, like all this controversy.
It's an assault remote.
Yeah. I'll just
if I assault you with it, it's an assault whatever.
Here, assault water.
Oh, God, assault water got me. Man.
So this is actually a big deal because, look, there's a couple things that we can be talking about here. Is this a future? Yeah, you know, it is. The 3D printing machines, it was only a couple years ago that it was taking up like half a room to do this kind of stuff, and it would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to own one of these devices. Now you can actually go on some sites and buy like a desktop printer size one and print out 3D printed things.
Yeah, I had a customer once who his son, he had a 3D printer and he was just doing little things. He gave me a carabiner he made for my keys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was like, here you go. I was like, oh, I made this. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I actually just watched that movie that came out, Hotel Artemis, with Jodie Foster. The hotel. It's basically a hospital for villains, and they 3D printed a gun in that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was.
They 3D printed a gun in Lost in Space series.
So. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, because they're not allowed to have guns in the hospital, so one of the bad guys like 3D prints a gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way to spoil that.
It was in the trailer. That part was in the trailer,
sure.
So no spoiler.
So, is this the future? Yes. Is it dangerous to allow untraceable things like a firearm to be printed? Yeah. I gotta admit, that's a pretty scary thing.
Listen, like the Second Amendment advocates like ourselves, I mean, the term common sense gun control has kind of been like overtaken by the left in a way to push things that really aren't that common sense at all.
Yeah.
But I think most Second Amendment people if it real common sense, we have that. That's what makes us conservatives.
Yeah.
That's like part of being not a leftist is having common sense. It's
true.
It is true. But being able to just print a gun, I don't get the warm fuzzy feelings about that, you know?
You don't, but at the same time, doesn't that kind of go back to actually making our point? You cannot stop this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, the fact of the matter is that, you know, you can ban guns. Okay, what do you get? When you ban guns, what you end up doing is punishing law-abiding citizens that have registered guns, taking those away from those people, and taking away the protection that they have from people that illegally own guns that are not traced or anything. And you've now made the sheep defenseless.
Sure.
Right? On top of that, let's say you were able to take all the guns away from people. We have close to 400 million guns in the United States right now. The number that we talked about earlier this year was an old statistic of 320 million guns in the United States. We have more in the citizenry than in our own military. Right? Kind of why countries don't invade us. I'm just saying.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
So, okay, by some miracle, you're able to take it away from everyone, right? Well, now we have 3D printers that print guns.
Yeah, what are those going to be illegal now?
You cannot stop this.
Yeah.
Right? What you are doing then is making the susceptible to violence defenseless.
Oh, for sure.
And there is no longer the ability to actually protect yourselves. This is exactly why we go back to the fact that when you look at things statistically in countries that have banned firearms, the gun homicide rates drop, right? But the overall homicide rates go up because now those people are defenseless and there's no way for them to protect themselves, and it actually encourages evil acts to happen with guns or any other
assault
remotes, salt water, sticking someone's head under the water. You can drown them. I'm just saying.
For sure.
So it's just unbelievable that we have to have these conversations. This just blows everything kind of wide open, though, right? What can your argument possibly be on the left if people are able to 3D print guns that are completely untraceable now and that you will never find unless you see it, a cop catches you in the act with one of these guns? You can't slow this down. You can't stop it, right?
I mean, there's nothing you can do really, and this kind of goes in like kind of feeds into the same kind of scenario where people can make bombs out of pressure cookers online, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? There, no matter what you do, no matter what laws you put in, there will always be evil in the world.
Yep.
You know, it's a sad, unfortunate truth. So, makes us want to have our guns.
Everything. I mean, you're gonna fill that hole with something.
Yep.
That sounded dirty.
Right.
Okay, so that's going on. You can look into Cody Wilson. In his case, it's on Wired.com. It's actually really interesting. To go along with that, let's take a look at this video here. It does not have sound because it was captured off of a security camera. But here is the exact reason why we talk about how guns can save people, okay? And how, in some cases, you don't even need to fire a gun.
Oh, I would imagine in most cases.
Yeah. So let's take a look at this. Hopefully my mic works over the video as we're talking about it. I don't know exactly what happened at this restaurant, but this is a cook in the back here. A guy comes back, punches her in the face, starts chasing her. That manager right there just pulled out a firearm and a pistol and is aiming at him, and he is completely stopped. He's walking away. He doesn't know what to do, and that's it. I mean, it stopped the escalation of the situation. That guy, those were two women right there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that guy, like, look, no offense, but he could have taken those two women down if one of them didn't have a firearm.
Yeah,
okay. Maybe the manager knows MMA or something like that.
Unless one of them is a woman that has only been a woman for a couple of weeks. We don't want to assume.
Yeah, we don't assume here.
But something leads me to believe that she would be a wrestling champion. So, if that were the case. But anyway, yeah, that obviously that shows, like you said, it doesn't even need to be fired. Just presenting it does the job.
Now, I was told in my personal training with a firearm instructor, go to Relic Hunter Firearm, by the way, and see Mo. That if you're going to pull a firearm, you better damn well be ready to use it. And if it was escalated that fast and everything, she wouldn't have gotten in trouble for immediately firing at him. Because he was assaulting them.
Yeah, for sure. You know? Physical attack has already been made. You know?
I mean, because I think it's like microseconds that guy, had she, in that situation, exactly as it played out, could have lunged at the distance and whacked the gun out of her hand before she pulled the trigger. That's why if you're going to pull a gun, you better be ready to shoot immediately. Now that gets you into trouble with some cop situations and stuff. I would imagine that's why some things have happened. In mistakes that were made. Again, how many instances is each cop called out on a day, and then multiply that by the department, by the city, by the town, state, federal level, and everything. All those instances, you get a couple here and there of bad apples and things that happen. Again. Statistically looking at it, I don't think it measures out that much. You know what I mean? But it is, hey, it goes back to the old saying, I carry a firearm because it weighs less than carrying a policeman around with me.
Right.
You know?
And for some reason, I wouldn't be surprised if more anti-gun people had a reaction to this video. Then feminists have a reaction of a man walking back and punching a woman in the face.
No kidding.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so
if it was a white man, then their heads would explode. Oh, what do I do?
Okay, we're gonna go on to another video of a woman, and I mean,
we know it's a woman. Well, maybe we think.
Listen, identity gets really screwed up in this video. Okay, so let's just take a look at it. Let's go right into it.
I've got to
really
ask.
Proud of it.
Yeah. The one controversial aspect here, because we interview people all the time who want to change their appearance, people who see their bodies as ongoing artwork, all well and good, that's absolutely fine, but you have stepped into the realms of controversy by saying that you now identify as black. Now, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, not only my whole body, so not only the appearance changed, also my feelings and my beauty idols. For example, a little bit after when I met you, I was in a swimming pool with a lot of white people, and some just came from the tanning bed with a little bit medium tan, but when I saw them wow, it's going to be strange. They're all so pale. And yeah, this medicine is
I get that.
good.
I understand that people will, obviously, they're going to react, but it's the fact that you say you identify as black.
I don't want to fight the black people. I do it for myself. It is not a media attention. I'm just talk with them who want to talk with me, because I'm really proud that this medicine works for me so well, and I can feel in myself that I'm changing to a black woman. I know that I'm a black woman, but I have to say I have to learn more about all these cultures, and that's the reason why I'm going to be in January. I want to go to Africa to learn more about the cultures, to avoid misunderstandings.
But
to learn more about the cultures and the person itself.
But you understand that race and colour is much more than skin deep. It's heritage and pedigree and tradition and history and struggle. It's all of those things that you can't hope to get anywhere near with 3 tanning injections.
No, but also all these steps, also having black curly hairs and going to change also my nose to really African version, also more wider here,
so and further surgery,
and also have and also have blood implants. Like I like the curves of black women, and I want to get them step by step. But also I have going to Africa in different countries. Also I have the most invitings for Kenya. That will be my first step to meet the people in person and learn more about the histories. But I know Africa has a lot of different states, and I have a lot of fans and friends all over Africa. I'm going step by step, visit different countries to learn more about the culture and to find which of these countries is matching most to mine.
Okay.
To myself.
Okay.
All right, Martina.
Well, it's fascinating, Martina.
All right.
Where do we even start?
Well, I want to start right from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. The host saying, like, listen, we have people that identify as different things and different genders, and that's all well and good, but this is, your things are... Yeah, why is this crazy, which he obviously thinks it's crazy. From his facial expressions, from the questions he's asking, he obviously thinks it's crazy, but that is not.
That's what I asked one of my friends, who believes that transgenderism is perfectly fine, but that this is crazy.
Like for her saying...
I'm not judging either way.
Yeah, not judging, but for him to be asking questions and like looking in disbelief when she's saying that she wants to get butt implants, that she wants this is her words, not mine, an African wider version of her nose, and there's her
black curly hairs,
and her cultures and this and that, and that's like those body modifications are nuts, but cutting your penis off, turning it inside out, and making it into a vagina, that's fine. That's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal.
That's nuts, but getting rid of your nuts?
Yeah, that's not nuts.
Not okay.
Like, again, what is happening?
You can't even make sense of this stuff. No. How do you sit in the gallery and just go, yeah, that makes sense.
I buy into all this.
Yes. I'm just, let it roll. Let it roll.
Yep. I mean, anyone that... I mean, you just have to accept it all or none of it, I guess. Like,
but that's not true either, right?
Where's the line? Like, what's? I don't know.
I was just thinking about this today, right? You can say, I identify as X, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. I identify as a black woman, right? Yeah. I identify as a female if you have a penis or whatever, right? But they're the same people that will turn around and say, hashtag not my president. Well, he identifies as your president, so why is that not? You have to acknowledge that. You better damn well accept that. You know what I mean? Like you can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
But they do, and that's kind of to your point, which is that you have to accept everything now, right? Yep. Or you're labeled whatever it is that you're going to be labeled. But at the same time, they accept everything from their own side and nothing from the other side.
Yep.
So it's a very one-way tolerant street.
Yeah, we talk all the time about how they claim to be tolerant, but they're intolerant of everything. That doesn't follow the thought patterns that they adhere to.
Yeah. This woman, by the way, one of my favorite, funniest parts, I thought, maybe it's not funny to people that actually buy into this, is the host, like you said, is talking about, you do realize that this is, that it's more than just skin color, right? It is about the culture and the history and, you know, your ancestors,
your life experience,
your life experience and everything. And she's basically like, yeah, history. I can learn history. I can look at that. I can research it. And the culture, I'm going to go over to the country and I'm going to go over to different places and find out which culture benefits me the most.
I'm going to the African states.
And again, you're more African than this woman is.
Just saying.
Oh, my goodness. So, just unbelievable. Okay, I think that ties into this next video here, okay? So, we have a situation where a pastor was invited to be kind of like an inspirational speaker or something like that at a summer football camp or something. And the backlash that he's getting over giving a gospel message, basically, at the camp. So let's take a look at that from Fox News.
An Arkansas pastor gave a motivational speech that included references to Scripture to high school players at a summer football camp. But then the Wisconsin-based Freedom from Religion Foundation complained to the school, saying the pastor violated the Constitution. Here with his side of the story is that pastor, Connor McKay, and his First Liberty attorney, Michael Berry. Thank you both for being here this morning. Connor, let me point out, you went to this high school, you played football at this high school, you're now a pastor in this community. The coach invited you to come to the summer camp to talk about leadership, to talk about teamwork. You invoked Scripture, yet somehow that's unconstitutional. Talk to us about your talk.
Right. Well, as you said, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. As you said, I went to school here at Waldron. I played football at Waldron. As a matter of fact, I've been under the leadership of this same coach. I know what it's like to be where these players are at. I know what it's like to be a high school football player. And I felt that it was important to know the value and the importance of teamwork. And so I came that morning and I shared with them the importance of teamwork. And I shared with the kids that as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And that's what I felt on my heart to share with them, was the importance and value of how to work together as a team with your coaches and in life situations.
So what happened was a local paper covered your address to the players, and as a result, the Freedom from Religion organization went after you. Here's what they had to say about this talk at a summer football camp. The Freedom from Religion Foundation said players were subjected to Christian proselytization by evangelist Connor McKay in a camp rife with evangelicalism. It is a fundamental principle of Establishment Clause that public schools may not advance, prefer, or promote religion. Mike Berry at the First Liberty Institute, you defend folks like this who are under siege. What do you make of the Freedom from Religion Foundation?
Well, this is yet another example of this group from Wisconsin that goes out of state, seeking school districts across the country that they can bully and intimidate. And, you know, Waldron, Arkansas is just another example. What's clearly going on here is, you know, as Connor said, he was invited because he was a former player at this school. He played under this coach. They wanted him to give a motivational talk. The fact that that he's a pastor and he comes from that background, that perspective, is perfectly fine under the Constitution. But these folks from Wisconsin, you know, this is what they do. They go around the country and they try to intimidate and harass people.
Not to mention their very name itself is not in keeping with the principles. It is freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. We have to leave it right there, guys. Thank you, Pastor Mike Berry. Keep it up. Keep giving those talks.
Okay. So, what have we been talking about the last couple weeks, right? The main story that we were actually talking about was a local story in regards to East Penn High School, right? And the fact that they were showing LGBT videos that they say were anti-bullying videos, but we as parents wouldn't be allowed to know that because they actually are now refusing to allow parents to actually see those videos as well that were shown to their kids, right? And we're being told, hey, this is the way it is. There are people that fall under the LGBTQ community, right? Could that argument not be turned around and say, hey, there's Christians in this community. You have to sit through this.
Yep.
Right?
Sure.
You can't pick and choose what is going on and what you are going to support and what you're going to be outraged about.
Yep.
So I'm really having a hard time here with my own feelings on this, because I was very adamantly against what they did with the LGBT videos. Yep. But at the same time, this is not promoting any type of harm to kids. Which you could say about those videos, but again, I don't know that because they ain't show anything.
Yeah, not allowed to see them. The other thing I was thinking too was, I guess it would be one thing if he was employed by the school, but he was invited, and he's not making any money from this.
Yep.
So he's just someone who was invited somewhere that is a public place because it's a public school, and he has freedom of speech. Yeah, it's not anything that was sanctioned. I'm sure that the school didn't say, hey, we invite you to come out here and preach to the kids.
Yeah.
It probably would just be like you're a former player, give a motivational speech. So it's not anything that was, like, it wasn't a sermon asked for by the school.
And let's talk about what kids' reactions could have been and what that would have led to for each situation. I'm willing to bet that kids could have gotten up and walked off of the field if they didn't want to hear that message, and they probably would not have gotten into trouble.
Yep.
Can the same thing honestly be said about the LGBT bullying videos?
No.
If students had gotten up out of the classroom and said, I don't feel comfortable with this, and walked out, I think they would have been reprimanded in some sort of way.
Yep, for sure.
Or they would have been labeled as something immediately, probably by the teacher.
Yep.
They probably would have been, in today's culture, scolded by the teacher in front of the rest of the classmates for not sitting and participating in that.
Yep.
That's where we're at right now, right? There was some other thought I had on that too. Anything else on it before we go?
No, I just, my main thing is that he's not being paid for by the school, and I'm sure the school didn't tell him to come and preach. They just told him to come and talk, and he has the freedom of speech, and it's a public place.
Yeah. Well, the other issue to this is that the group that was promoting against this pastor is called the Freedom from Religion, right? Obviously a play on the freedom of religion, and they know it.
Yeah, sure.
They know the First Amendment, right? But what you have is a bunch of people, and I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, that don't understand the First Amendment. They don't understand the separation of church and state. They don't understand that that's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Declaration. It's not in any amendment or anything like that. That this is a term that fell under something that Thomas Jefferson said to the Danbury Baptists in a letter when they wrote out of concern from Connecticut that they were concerned that the government would interfere and put a halt to some of their religious practices. And he wrote back to them that there is a separation of church and state, that the state would never interfere with the practices of the religion of the people. And in language, it basically stated that unless it was hurting someone or something like that, right? At no point in time did Thomas Jefferson ever write in that the religion shouldn't interfere with politics, because they're inextricably tied together in a sense, right? A lot of people, a lot of Christians, I would even say Muslims and Jewish people and everything else that have their religion, their value system and morals and principles are tied to their religion. And it's inescapable when you're trying to think about the best policies to put forward for people. You live by those morals and principles. You're not going to push through a type of policy that goes against your morals and principles.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to separate those things unless you're an atheist, in which case I would also argue that that's a type of religion in and of itself as well. But it's just ridiculous that people don't grasp the concept of what this all entails.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, I have a little update here.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw you posted it, yeah.
So apparently, we were just gotten done talking about this. One of my funny ideas in the past was, well, let's go into it. Basically, there was a rumor for a long time floating around, pun intended, that there was a Pacific garbage patch that was bigger than the state of Hawaii, that got caught in the whirlpools and the currents in the ocean and everything, that basically caused a what do you call it, a whirlpool effect
Yeah.
in a large portion of the ocean, that all the trash would get caught up into it and would just keep on forming and piling up on each other, and it was like an island, right?
Yep.
And one of my brilliant ideas, if this was actually a problem, was to set up a conveyor belt into the Hawaiian volcanoes and incinerate it.
Yeah.
Right? So, no one
An idea he's still very proud of.
I'm very proud of it, and
Yeah.
I now know why they never contacted me to talk about this idea.
Yeah.
Because that garbage patch doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And to top it off, this is actually from Slate.com. And I must have been out of the loop for quite some time, because this was actually posted back in 2016. So,
The Generation Y Conservative Podcast, where all your breaking news.
breaking. This garbage, it goes into the history of the garbage patch and what this guy did and this lie that he basically concocted for it and everything. And it says, but the Great Pacific Garbage Patch has always been less substantial than it sounds, less an island in the ocean than a big idea that floats around inside our heads. It's a throwback to the time when environmental threats were made of solid things, empty bottles, fishing nets, nuclear waste, canisters of slime that could be gathered up and buried or incinerated. Today's pollution, both in the air and in the ocean, blows and flows from the planet in clouds of tiny particles as garbage in a gaseous state. It's hard enough to grasp, let alone manage. In a way, that's the very problem the Great Pacific Garbage Patch helped to solve. When the concept was invented being a key word there, like its mirror image, the hole in the ozone layer. So they're saying that's a fabrication too. The patch squeezed and flattened all our worries, sequestering them in a far-off region of the globe. That's how and why the patch came into being, both as a fully fledged idea and a media phenomenon at the turn of the millennium, but its history stretches back much further. It goes into Jules Verne. It says, in fact, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch was barely visible since it comprised mostly micro-garbage. It can't be scanned by satellites or scoped out on Google Earth. You could be sailing right through the gyre, as many have observed, and never notice that you're in the middle of a death-shaped, noxious vortex. The patch is such a wishy-washy phenomenon with wishy-washy impacts that its extent can't be described with any certainty, nor is it a singular phenomenon. There are 2 separate garbage patches in the North Pacific, along with several others all around the world, including the Sargasso Sea. So this was all concocted and basically fear-mongering.
Yeah.
The left was using fear-mongering to talk about pollution in the ocean and everything to change our habits.
Yeah.
And we're told all the time, this is settled science. This is science. This is what science is proving and everything. And this is the type of stuff that they would point to as facts for that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
So essentially, we were once again misled by the left and the environmentalists and everything into believing stuff like this, that it doesn't actually exist, but they were using it to fearmonger us into changing our habits and way of living to save a situation that wasn't in existence. It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
And to make it okay, like to justify it, you know, that's like crazy. It's like, oh, so we're going to use this for like climate change, and same kind of idea where, oh, it's justified even if it's not true, but we still should, it's okay to spend billions and billions of dollars on stuff that may or may not be real.
Yeah, exactly. From Red State, once again, Tomi Lahren displays her faux conservatism in discussing Roe v. Wade. So, Tomi Lahren is in the news again. Says back when she worked for the Blaze, Miss Lahren appeared on The View and quickly used the opportunity to upbraid pro-lifers as hypocrites for daring to be a voice for the voiceless unborn. She played off her position as one rooted in limited government to disguise the fact that she's an optimistic political hack willing to change her colors for a crowd. It goes into her being fired. But it says on Saturday, Lahren published her final thoughts segment on the network site and specifically discussed the Supreme Court vacancy in Roe v. Wade. Her argument, which she makes it clear that her only goal is to win. She said, yes, the new high court vacancy is a huge opportunity for conservative values and principles. I get it, and I understand the passion behind the pro-life movement. This president is winning for the American people on the economy, foreign policy, and tax reform. These are areas that benefit all Americans regardless of religion or social beliefs. If we continue to focus on those things and immigration, we'll sail into 2020 with all three government branches in our control. That's how we get things done for the American people. That's how we win. Let's go after sanctuary cities and push for voter ID laws. We lose when we start messing with social issues. Do we really want to fight for this? Alienate Democrats, moderates, and libertarians, all to lose in the end anyway? That's a risk I don't think is worth taking. I'm saying this as someone who would personally choose life, but also feels it's not the government's place to dictate. This isn't a black and white issue, and I would never judge anyone in that position. That's not a conservative angle.
No.
You know? And I honestly think there's probably other issues that she has not addressed, specifically because she does not fall under a conservative banner. It's actually kind of funny because Liz Wheeler, who is on the One America News Network,
I wish we had that channel.
Where Tommy came from originally before she went to the Blaze, is staunchly pro-life and said the exact opposite message of what she said. You know?
Yeah, man, I saw Ben Shapiro's response to her as well, which was
to Liz Wheeler.
No, to Tomi Lahren.
Oh, what did he have to say?
Oh, he basically said that like if you're gonna win but not try to protect the most defenseless of us, which are the unborn, then what are you winning for?
Yeah,
you know what's that?
Yeah,
you know. And we've said. I mean, I know I've said this before on the podcast, but for me, obviously, like we just said about your core values come from your religion and your faith and your background and things like that. But for me, it's just like the left turns it into well, this is a religious thing. They're just trying to, and I think she mentioned that, you know. It's not a religion. Abortion is really not a religious thing for me. It's just, is murder bad or not?
Yeah,
that's what it is. You know. And well, we're going to talk about it more in a story coming up. But it's
actually, you know what? I think I put things out of order. I'm going to switch these two here and move to that one instead.
Yeah, but you know what, Tomi Lahren? I mean, if you want to stay out of social issues, if you think Republicans and conservatives should stay out of social issues, then I never want to hear you talk about NFL players kneeling again.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like the top dog as far as going after the NFL players.
Yeah.
Social issue. I mean, you know?
That's right.
It's ridiculous.
All right, so while we're on the topic of abortion, let's actually head over to Netflix gave a show to this comedian. And I use that term extremely loosely. Yeah. This woman named Michelle Wolf, who was criticized for her attacks on
Sarah
Huckabee Sanders
and
at the what was it? The
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah. Okay. She apparently has her own show, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. This woman, I'm sorry, in the prep time, you and I had to listen to her and watch her, but this voice is the most excruciating sound wave to hit your eardrums.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she looks like... she talks out of the side of her mouth, which I find really annoying. Like, that's a personal thing, whatever. I get it. You know, I don't want to criticize her for that, but she is so annoying, and she thinks she's funny, and these things that she's saying are not funny.
Her show is clearly... Netflix basically said, we want a John Oliver show.
Yeah.
It's the same, layout, the same format. He gets up and, when he did that whole thing about Trump being Drumpf, that was his real name. You ever see that video?
No.
So he gets up, he goes to, a thing, there's, this whole set and everything. It's the same exact thing. So they're like, okay, let's have a John Oliver show on Netflix, and it's not funny.
Yeah, so let's take a look at her clip specifically in regards to abortion, because this is all being brought up because of the Supreme Court, obviously.
Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy recently announced he is retiring effective July 31st, and although it's great for his wrinkly head, it could be catastrophic for reproductive rights. Because it's almost certain that Trump will try to replace him with someone who would overturn Roe v. Wade. It's so ironic that Trump could be the guy that ends legal abortion. That dude has been responsible for more abortions than the invention of back alleys. We were originally going to use coat hanger. And before that, stairs. Just letting you in on the writing process. Look, access to abortion is good and important. Some people say abortion is killing a baby. It's not. It's stopping a baby from happening. It's like Back to the Future and abortion is the DeLorean. And everyone loves DeLoreans. Their doors open like this. And I know some people call themselves pro-life, but pro-life is a propaganda term that isn't real, like healthy ice cream and handsome testicles. Get the terminology straight. First of all, these people are anti-abortion, which means they're anti-woman. If these people were actually pro-life, they would be fighting hard for health care, child care, education, gun control, and protecting the environment. But these anti-abortion people do not care about life. They just care about birth. Like, they think that's the only place you can watch a woman shit on a table. About 1 in 4 women by the age of 45 have had an abortion. And it's weird that I learned that on a Snapple cap. But it is true, which means abortions are super common and the stigma is bullshit. One of the original slogans for the women's movement was abortion on demand. And that's exactly what it should be. As easy and safe as pushing the on-demand button in the middle of your remote to order Paddington 2. Actually, abortion might be safer because that little guy will steal your heart. These days, abortion providers have been terrorized by the right into downplaying their abortion services. You should be proud of it. You're doing a good thing. It's like if Hogwarts advertised its PE program. Don't do that. Tell everyone about the magic. We came for the magic. And true story, I call my vagina the goblet of fire. Sometimes the chamber of secrets. Other times Hagrid. Here's the thing. Every character, book title, everything about Harry Potter sounds like a name for your vagina. Try it at home. I don't have time. It's a really fun game. Half-Blood Prince. Hogsmeade. Okay, that's it. Back to abortions. Now, men, I'm sorry. I'm sure this brings up a lot of feelings and thoughts and points that you want to make, and I just want you to know that's all very irrelevant. Abortions are a woman's right, and I know acknowledging that is hard for some of you because that would mean you'd also have to acknowledge that women are naturally equipped to do the most powerful thing in the world. Give life. While you guys are naturally equipped to do what? Lift suitcases into the overhead compartment? If women embrace the fact that they control life, that makes it a lot harder for men to control women. Of course men are uncomfortable with that. They won't even let us control a little bit of Star Wars. And to be clear, this abortion fight isn't for me. I have money. I'll always be able to get an abortion. But abortion shouldn't be a luxury. It shouldn't be the new I summer in Montauk. It should be on the dollar menu at McDonald's. Hey, I'd like a large Diet Coke, and can you get this egg out of my McMuffin? So tonight, in honor of America, I'd like to do a salute to abortion in the Break's 10th annual Salute to Abortion. Women, if you need an abortion, get one! If you want an abortion, get one! If you're not pregnant but you think you eventually might be and want to order a future abortion, get one! If you're pregnant and you want to be pregnant, don't get one! It's up to you, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's actually a great deal. It's about $300. That's like 6 movie tickets. Movie tickets, a bad deal! And women, don't forget, you have the power to give life, and men will try to control that. Don't let them!
So we're watching this video of this woman, Michelle Fox, Wolf.
Not a Fox.
Michelle Fox. Who's Michelle Fox? Is there a Michelle Fox?
There's Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, okay. Well, she thinks she's funny, and obviously it's not funny at all.
No.
She's joking around about abortion, and what really disturbs me is, like, you ever watch the like the old 80s action flicks and everything of dystopian, or not dystopian, but these worlds where blood sports have become like the entertainment, and you have people in the crowd cheering, and you're like, holy crap, like it's become like out of control and everything. You have people cheering for abortion jokes in this crowd. Like, you can't get lower than that kind of disgusting. You know, it's kind of like, well, you say it. You had mentioned something before the podcast while we were doing prep time for this.
Like, it's one thing to be pro-choice as opposed to pro-life, but to celebrate it is just weird. I mean, and it's, I don't know how anyone, just using common sense like we talked about before too, wouldn't just think that that's not right, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's disgusting. And then she goes on to basically bash men again. The old saying for women where like it's guys should have no opinion on this. Why? We're getting aborted too.
And pro-life being anti-woman. Let's just say that of the millions of babies aborted, half are women. I'm pro-woman. You know, and that makes no sense. And the other argument I hate from the left about abortion is that, conservatives say that they're pro-life, but they don't care about kids being separated at the borders, and they don't care about this, and they don't care about that. It's like, listen, if a mother, I'll use that term loosely as well, is willing to kill her own baby, okay, somebody's got to defend that. But once the baby's born, it's your responsibility for all the other stuff from there on out. You know? Like, but I guess, I mean, if we're talking to people that are willing to kill their own kin, then maybe we should worry about everything else too. You know,
the whole thing is a worryful society.
It just doesn't make sense. Pro-choice, don't have sex. There's your choice of what to do with your body. You know, use whatever, you know, there's ways to not get pregnant.
The most offensive thing about this whole skit is that it's not funny.
That
she's
really
attempting to do comedy and it's not funny at all. Like, she's not funny. How the heck did she get her own Netflix show? It's ridiculous.
Well, Bill Nye got one. I saw how that went.
Okay, so let's take a look. I thought this was amazing, and I have a couple reasons why I find this really amazing. Steven Crowder came out with a video this week of him confronting someone that was basically threatening him online, or trying to get people to threaten him. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about why this is an important thing that he did and how he approached doing it. So let's take a look at that.
Austin, Texas, a city of great coffee, great food, great conversation, and people who want to vandalize our property and see us die. Meet He's just your local transgender juice barista who calls for acts of violence in his spare time. What kinds of acts? Like publicly posting our specific location with calls to visit us, slash our tires, and teach us lessons ensuring that we'll never make ourselves vulnerable again. How do we know that he, she, Z meant business? Because he, she, Z said so while recruiting the same friends who helped him deface the Robert E. Lee statue at UT. Silly. That's a crime too. Oh well. Civility's great, but you plot violence? It's time to confront.
Hey, kids.
Hey, remember me?
No.
No? You don't remember me at all? Steven Crowder at all? No, not familiar?
No.
This is you threatening to slash my tires here?
Oh my god, dude. You need
Remember
to
this?
chill out.
Slashing my tires, and actually, funny enough, also the Robert E. Lee statue seems you helped deface.
We're trying to work.
Let me ask you, why do you think it's okay to threaten to slash someone's tires?
Hey, I didn't do it.
Predictable, Z. The first instinct is always denial. But why did you do this, oh man?
Well,
you realize that you put our crew in danger.
Lucky
for us, we had a Bristol board. How about you check this out here? Before we'll leave this. Yeah, I'm a conservative who has a difference of opinion from you, and I've never threatened actions of violence. I've never threatened to slash anyone's tires.
You need to get out, or we're gonna call the police.
You know what? Let's call the police officers. Because as a matter of fact, we actually have. Actually, I would like to speak with the police. We're about to file a report very soon.
Okay, you should do that, man.
This is a part of being a man, is owning up to the actions here. When you threaten violence against someone,
Sir.
When you threaten violence against someone,
Okay.
part of being a man is taking ownership of your actions, taking responsibility.
You said you would come back when I was off work.
I will, but could you just, but I don't believe you're going to be here because you're a dishonest human being. You said you didn't even post this and acted like you didn't know me. I think you're a liar.
I think you need to go.
Well, let me ask you this. Could you just say, hey, you're sorry, take this down. Could you take this down? Could you take it down? Because there are other people. It's not going anywhere? Well, there you go. He just admitted to doing it.
What? My name's on it. Of course I did. That has nothing
So you did do it. So you think it's okay to threaten someone and slash their tires?
I didn't do it.
So was it a joke?
Are your tires okay?
Thank you.
So does that make it? You know, it's a crime. It's a crime to threaten this. You understand that, right?
Okay, it's a crime.
Could you
to
take it
trespass.
down? Could you take it down?
No, it's a crime.
Could you take it down and just say, hey, listen, I don't really want to call actions to violence to people who disagree?
I think it's time for you to go, dude.
Part of being, come on, you want to play the part. Part of being a man is owning up to the actions and admitting what you did. They call the police? Well, good. I think they should call the police. I think we should call the police. We should file a report. I would like to, before filing a report, offer you the chance to take it down and just stop with the threats of violence. You stop with the threats, you take it down.
I already am, but everybody knows who this guy is, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Just, hey, just keep
Okay.
looking at me.
Oh my God,
You're all
why do you
right,
think
then.
this person is
I'll go
being
sit in the
abused?
back.
This is a threat of violence.
I'm not going to.
You're not going to read it. Is that not an issue? But
really?
First off, I would never threaten anyone here with violence. I hate violence, certainly for political opinions. Well, we actually had to change my mind, which is a segment we do where we sit down. We actually had Danielle here, who's running for city council, a transgender person, sit down for 40 minutes and talk. At that time, was threatening to slash our tires, and someone who works at UT was asking our car to be firebombed. The time for discussing is over. It's time to renounce the acts of violence coming from people who you employ.
So I can't speak to this. I'm on the clock. I can't speak to this right now, dude.
You can read, can't you? And I've listened to you.
Please
Can you understand?
Here, look, I'll help you. I'll take your poster outside for you.
No, I'd like you to keep it here for when the police arrive. But I would love it for when the police arrive, because that's actually evidence, so I'd like to keep it. So where did you put the board?
Absolutely. One of your friends nicely yanked it out of my hands, and he has it outside.
Gosh, so they got slightly Yankee.
So a little Yankee, a little Yankee, a little Yankee.
A little Yankee.
Yeah, just like a little bit
Great.
of.
Well, I hope we have it on camera.
All of you need to walk out with your GoPros and your pretty cameras.
Oh, that's right. I guess no right to.
Okay, so I cut the video short because I think it's number one. I want Crowder to get the credit for like the video and everything. So I would actually encourage you to go and watch his pre-footage on what he was talking about, and then to see the ending of what happened.
Yeah,
and everything.
If you're interested in seeing how the interaction with the police went, go over to his website and check it out.
Yeah, because the police did show up,
and it's interesting.
Oh yeah. So let's go back. So, what are your thoughts? I just want to cut to you first.
I think that if he's obviously using the left's tactics against them.
Yep.
And if this was flipped around, let's say Crowder did something, he would be fired immediately without any proof or anything like that. He would just be denounced. Yep. The bosses would just want to wash their hands of it, but they're defending she, ze.
Yeah, the other
her, her.
Yeah, the other one there was wearing like a fist shirt, like working.
Yeah.
Like this is a little coffee like liberal shop that like they promote social
juice
justice
bar,
crap,
plant-based meat.
Yeah.
It's like
but I think we both were laughing our butts off every time he was like, "Hey, if you're gonna play the part of a man, you got to own up to being a man. And own up to your actions.
You have to
that's part of being
accept the consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, by the way, that's part of being a person." Accepting consequences. Yeah.
So beyond that, the fact is that, I think you're right, and it's exactly what I posted. If you're upset by this video because you're of the opinion that goes along with the transgender person in this video that was threatening acts of violence to Steven Crowder and his van and personal property and everything like that, if you're upset by this video, then now you know what it's like to have your tactics turned around and used on you.
And to a lesser degree, let's say.
Oh, yeah, because
there is no violence being committed here.
He even said, I don't want violence.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, he was offering to say, you know what, I was planning on bringing up charges against you for this, or at least reporting it to the police. I'm giving you the opportunity before I do that to just say, hey, I'm sorry, and take down the post. You have to publicly apologize, though, and then take down the post, And this person did not want to do it.
Yep.
He gave every opportunity to do this, and they just refused to do it because they knew they were in a little social justice warrior and working environment that nothing was going to happen to them.
For sure.
You know? But that's exactly what we've been talking about. At what point in time are we going to have to get down into the mud and start using the left's tactics against them because it's been working for them, right?
Yeah.
So Stephen actually finally did it. He was one of the first ones to do it because the guy has balls, unlike this person. But I don't want to get to this point. I don't want to see us have this kind of incivility where we show up to people's, like we always talk all the time, like showing up to a person's business or tagging them online and publicly shaming the business for employing that person and everything. Like ruining a person's livelihood over a difference of opinion or something like that is just absolutely backrap crazy, you know? But
if this person is calling for physical acts of violence, you know, if it was someone on the right,
report it to the police and leave the business out of it.
But if it was someone on the right, they would be fired. They would be, you know, it's just it's so clear, you know, the hypocrisy.
Absolutely. Okay, so go over, watch a video. The police do show up, and then you can find out what happens with that because it's not what you think would happen. Yeah, especially in Austin, Texas, which is a pretty liberal part of Texas. Okay. Let's see here. We're going to go into some Trump topics here. Apparently, George Lopez, another comedian, crouched down next to a plaque as water flowed from between his legs. The well-known anti-Trump comedian had his face scrunched up in a mock grimace. He was carrying a small bottle of water, which he used to mimic the act of peeing on Donald Trump's Hollywood star on the Hollywood Boulevard, right? And the day after it was published, the LAPD has received more than 50 complaints. Trump supporters say Lopez should be arrested for indecent exposure. The LAPD confirmed that no crime was actually committed. Here's my point again, kind of going into the last topic. Whether it's a joke or not, is it funny? No.
Yeah.
And if you're on the left and you find it funny, there's something wrong with you.
I mean, listen, if you're 8 years old, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So. But for everyone else, it's not
Is it
very
showing
inventive.
Civility? Yeah. Is it showing civility? No. Like, if you want civility from the right, you got to show some civility yourself. And right now, the left is completely uncivil with the way that they approach every single political topic. It's F Trump supporters. That's all there is to it. George Lopez, is he the one that Joe Rogan goes after all the time for stealing jokes?
No, that's Carlos Mencia.
Carlos Mencia, okay. Yeah. Well, all right, that was racist, right?
Okay. It's just facts.
Yeah, they're both comedians.
Yeah.
Too. I just got comedians confused. Okay, let's take a look.
One's not funny, the other one steals jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Being Mexican has nothing to do with it.
Let's take a look at this video, which I got into a heated debate on a friend's personal page because they posted this video. This is celebrities and the border issue. Back to the border issue.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Miriam.
My name is Miriam.
I am a citizen and
national of Honduras.
He is my only child.
On January 15th, 2018, I left my home in Progreso, Euro, Honduras
with my son.
We fled Honduras after the military tear gassed our home.
On February 20th, 2018, my son and I crossed the international bridge in Brownsville, Texas,
and presented ourselves to U.S. immigration officers.
We told the officers we needed asylum.
After I presented myself, U.S. border officers
took me.
The officers took a statement from me regarding the reasons I came to the United States.
The U.S. immigration officers then told me that they were taking my son from me.
They said he would be going to one place and I would be going to another.
I asked why the officers were separating my son from me.
They did not
provide any reason.
They did not provide any reason.
They did not provide me any reason.
They did not provide any reason.
I had no idea that I would be separated from my child for seeking help. The immigration officers made me walk out with my son to a government vehicle and place my son in a car seat
in the vehicle.
My son was crying as I put him in the seat.
I did not even have a chance to comfort my son because the officer slammed the door shut as soon as he was in the seat.
I was crying too.
I cry even now when I think about that moment when the border officers took my son away.
Immigration officers then took me to Port Isabel Detention Center, where I stayed for a few days.
I was going crazy, wondering what had happened with my son.
I was very worried about him and did not know where he was.
In regards to this video, what you have is a bunch of celebrities that were apparently told, hey, when you wake up, just immediately turn on your camera and start recording yourself reading this letter and everything, right? The celebrities looked horrible.
I know.
Like every single one of them. Tim Robbins.
I didn't even know that was him for a while. I was like, who is this?
Him and Susan Sarandon are some of the worst liberal actors.
Yeah, for a long time they always have been.
Yeah, and Sean Penn.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I think you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
America!
Yeah, exactly.
Team America. So these celebrities are reading a letter from an immigrant mother who got separated from her child and is concerned about the whole thing, right? I, in this post on the Friends page and everything, pointed out very specifically exactly what we went over in the last couple podcasts, that they could have gone to the U.S. Embassy in their own country. They could have gone to the U.S. Embassy before entering the United States in Mexico and gotten asylum and not been separated. They could have gone to a checkpoint at the border and not been separated. What this specifically says is they crossed the bridge into Texas, got into Texas, and then turned themselves into the authorities and claimed asylum. Is that really real? I don't know the full story behind this. What we do know is she's right off the bat admitted to illegally entering the country, and then she was separated. So did she turn herself into the authorities and then get separated, or did they catch her and she claimed asylum like we keep on talking?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I feel like a lot of people would do if you're caught doing something wrong. Sob story.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And listen, this is heartbreaking. Like a child being taken from the mother, that is awful. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend it's not, but we brought it up, like you said, we brought it up before. So I just pulled up a quick map. Maybe you can put it like Central America over here.
Yeah.
So if you're going from Honduras to the border, right? Let's even say you decided, you know what, I don't want to go to my embassies in my country or in Guatemala or in Mexico, which you have to pass to get to the border. You're going to go all this way, and then you won't go whatever little extra to get to a port of entry.
How many ports of entry are there? It's not just one.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch.
Yeah.
So, okay, and if you're going to get there claiming asylum, then obviously you know what asylum is, and you know where to claim it. You know what I mean?
True.
So you're going to cross through three countries, including your own, 4 if you count the states, and you're going to go, okay, I don't want to go to a Honduras U.S. embassy. Where I can claim
really
it's
far.
You know what? You know what? I heard my kid. You know, there's like a 90% chance they'll get raped or kidnapped and sold into sex trafficking. I want to do that instead of just go to the Honduras U.S. Embassy to claim asylum, which I can do. But you know what? Oh, Guatemala. Oh, I don't want to go to their U.S. Embassy either. No. Okay, Mexico.
I heard they have just really bad dip.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mexico City.
Where guacamole comes from, right?
I don't know. Mexico City, it's like closer to Guatemala than it is to the States. I'm sure there's a U.S. Embassy there. No, I don't want to go there. Let's keep going with the kid on this treacherous journey that they might die or get kidnapped or raped or whatever. And then, once I get to the safe place, listen, if you're going to do that, your kid's probably safer with Border Patrol in a cage than they are with you. All right? So, give me a break. I mean, I just don't get it.
You know, they kept on talking about this is a horrible situation. This is deplorable that these families are getting separated from their kids and stuff like that. I said, you do realize that this is the least of concerns in regards to border issues right now. Google rape trees, border rape trees. Find out what goes on with that. Look into smugglers and how they use human trafficking and use human trafficking to lead into sex slavery here in the States. Look into how when you illegally enter and you start working in the United States that you get paid under the table wages, which then a boss can hold over you and say, I'm not going to pay you anymore, and if you if you step out of line, I'm going to report you to ICE and get you thrown out of here. That's modern day slavery is what that is.
I mean, they complain about fight for 15. How about just fight for legal minimum wage?
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy.
This is all they can point to because they don't actually look into the facts. What they're doing is they're listening to now this, now that,
Vox.
now here, now there, and everything else. No, not Fox. They're going to MSNBC.
No, Vox.
Oh, Vox, absolutely. Yeah. They're going to John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel,
Michelle Fox, Michelle Wolf, Samantha Bee,
yeah, and they're getting all their information from there and Change.org petitions, where they'll get their exact language off of that and just copy and paste it into why this is an important issue. Well, thank you, George Soros, copy and pasting right there. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is like there were so many opportunities for these people to claim asylum. Obviously, like you said, and I never thought about that angle. If they knew to say asylum, they knew what asylum is, and they had every opportunity to turn themselves in different places and claim that asylum before they illegally entered the country.
Maybe, just maybe, the only reason they know the word asylum because they're told, hey, if you get caught, that's your excuse. And they actually don't know the process.
Guarantee you over 80%.
Yeah.
Over 90%.
They actually don't know what the process is of asylum. Because obviously, if you really were seeking asylum and you knew you only had to go 20 or 30 miles as opposed to crossing 5 countries, that's what you would do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. On top of that, you have this whole abolish ICE movement right now.
With no solution.
No.
But abolish ICE.
Well, they want open borders.
Oh,
they're very specific about that. So who cares about ICE at that point?
Yep.
You do know that a 6-year-old kid was rescued in the desert who was left alone in over 100-degree heat by ICE? And these stories happen every single day where they're saving people
rescued by ICE, not left alone by ICE.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yeah. So they're saving people too. Guess what's going to happen if you get rid of ICE? You're going to find a lot more bodies out there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there was that one Border Patrol agent that was interviewed on CNN, you know, saying that they're finding bodies in rivers. You know, they've given their last bottle of water to kids that they find on their own. Anyone else, if a U.S. citizen crossed, that's still illegal, not just, you know, illegal aliens. And you know, a lot of the work they're doing is just being, like, ignored because of this story that is a Bill Clinton law.
Yeah.
To reiterate. Yeah.
According to the Daily Wire, a feminist writer blames Trump for being out of shape, and she says, now I can't open jars.
And it's all Trump's fault.
Feminist writer at The Guardian has having a hard time coping with President Donald Trump's election win. She can't even open jars now. On Thursday, in a piece that belongs on The Onion, Brigitte Delaney, that's the way I read it, took to publicly blaming Trump for her decision to stop going to the gym and now subsequently being so out of shape that she's unable to open jars and carry groceries. She said, after Trump claimed victory, I went to the gym in a foul mood. Just effing load up the effing sled. All right, and let's get it over with. I said without much grace as I strapped a belt around my waist. I pulled the sled like a human oxen. While being filmed and the gym staff cheered. I did it. I never went back, she said, but I also didn't return to the gym. I associated it now with Donald Trump, the bad meal and pulling the sled. In the spirit of the Donald, I drank more bottles of Diet Coke and ate more McDonald's, she mockingly wrote. I didn't want to die young, so I didn't go to the gym. The writer became so weak that she was no longer strong enough to open jars and carry groceries. This is a feminist, so she needs a man to open the jars for her, apparently. I returned again this week to the boredom and pain of the gym, trying to build up back to the strength I had before Trump became president. The struggle is Sisyphean. So she got fat. She can't open jars, and that's Donald Trump's fault.
Yep.
I don't know. Why didn't she blame Bush too? I mean, that seems to be the answer to things. You know.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, but
just
that's
blame Trump for everything.
I mean, what do you even say about that?
Not much to say.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Donald Trump made me stop going to the gym, and now I can't open jars. What the heck?
Yeah.
Take some control over your own damn life.
Speaking of just going off the rails on Trump and everything, Chris Hayes of MSNBC, which is easily confused with Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, right.
Is
their show called What If? That's Rachel Maddow's show. What if Trump was found of this? And then what if that was true? And then what if, like, that's her whole show.
Well, that's exactly what he's about to do.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
Wait until you hear this. Conspiracy, okay. Where do I even go with this? Let's just watch the clip.
Okay.
So, okay. It sounds insane. I just want to say, it really does. Like, the idea that he goes to Moscow in '87, is cultivated as a Russian intelligence asset, and is this sort of like sleeper cell for decades, sounds nuts. It sounds like the stuff of conspiracy theories. Why are you not insane?
So, that's a great question, Chris. I get that all the time. So first of all, the piece acknowledges that that is probably not true, but it might be. And one of the reasons I wrote this is you need to take seriously some of these low probability, high impact scenarios. You know, before the election, sort of everyone heard that Hillary Clinton had about an 80% chance of winning, and we all just treated it like that meant 100% and didn't think about what would that 20% alternative really mean. So that's part of what I'm doing with this, with aspects of this piece, like this trip to Moscow. You know, what would it mean if it really went that deep? Now, there's a lot of ways in which this scandal could be really bad and not go that deep. But I think you need to consider that for another reason, which is that everyone always says, well, this has been Trump's view forever. All this stuff he's saying about the Western allies splitting us apart from the West, and how he's sort of pissing on them all the time and saying, you know, we should let them go their own way. That's just what he's always thought. It's not really what he's always thought. It's what he's thought since 1987. He never thought that before then, or at least he never said it before then. And in 1987 is when he went to Moscow, and he's feted by the Russians and tours Moscow. And then he comes back. Then he starts talking about running for president for the first time. And then he starts talking for the first time about how our allies are a bunch of freeloaders and we should kick them to the curb.
So, yeah, we're deep into conspiracy territory. What if he was a sleeper cell because of his first Russian trip back in 1987, and Russia groomed him, and he's been working his way up to president ever since, and now he's taking over and helping Russia take over the world and everything.
Yeah, Putin was president back then, 29 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean,
it's the low probability, high intensity or risk or something, he said.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going to play into this game of what if and low probabilities and everything.
Why are you not crazy? That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question, Chris. Yeah, Trump in Moscow. All right, listen, I'm going to go back to America, and for 29 years, I'm going to be the biggest capitalist that there's ever been. You know, and just so I'll be super capitalist, and no one will really be able to know that I'm a communist deep down inside, yes. And then I will run for president and win against the biggest political family that there's ever been in America, and I'll win, and it'll be great.
But first, I gotta take down this wall between me and Oprah. We're good friends.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, that whole channel is just what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. Like, that's their whole show, and that's what talk about fear mongering. That's what they're doing. You know.
And Chris Hayes the whole time. Yeah, that makes sense.
So stupid. It's like if Fox put Alex Jones on and just let him have an hour. you know?
This is going to be a quick topic here. I think this is just really funny. This is according to Daily Mail, by the way, hundreds of demonstrators take to the streets of London and the UK in noisy and colorful protests in opposition to Donald Trump's visit. As Trump and Melania dine at Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, people marched. The Republican, obviously Donald Trump, met with Theresa May at the ancestral home of Winston Churchill. Go Winston Churchill. And protesters waved the well-worn slogan, "Dump Trump," close to the palace. Okay, there's a reason we split from the Crown. It's because we don't care what you freaking think.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't have to listen to you. Oh, you have a problem with the way we do things? That's why we split from you, because you do things worse. Okay?
And now, glad you lost the semifinal in the World Cup, and I hope you lose the third place game.
On top of that, it's like, when the hell do we ever go over there or have, like, protest their people?
Yep.
Do we go outside the palace and like protest? No, but you know why? Because there's no freedom of speech over there.
Yeah.
So you'd get arrested for doing that. But apparently the London mayor and everything has been all for this stuff. Like he's very anti-Trump and everything. The point being here, who the hell cares what you people over there think?
And also the other thing
about
is
what's
too,
going on over here.
You don't know what what information they're getting.
Yeah.
When my parents went to Portugal a couple of weeks ago, they were telling me how one of my grandmother's sisters, so this is someone in her like 90s, you know?
Yeah.
They come over and she's literally crying about how bad she feels that we're in the States and Trump is president and things.
Oh my
she has no idea. And my dad, who loves him some Trump, is like, oh no, don't worry, everything's great. My 401k's through the roof. The economy's doing fantastic. Everything, the unemployment's lower than it's ever been. Jobs are coming back into the country. There's more jobs available than there are for people looking for jobs. Everything's awesome. And she was just confused.
Yeah,
she had no idea. She was like, what? He said she was literally
you guys aren't dying in the streets over there?
Yeah, he said she was literally in tears, like genuinely.
I can't believe you didn't tell me that story.
I just thought of it now.
Yeah.
And he's like, everything's awesome. He's like, I love Trump. And then she just doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, yeah. Holy moly.
Yeah.
That's
so who
crazy.
knows what, I mean, now she's, like I said, she's like 90, lives on a little farm, you know. I mean, the people in London, they are more like leftist than she is. She just doesn't know what's going on. It's very funny.
So let's take a look at this video to kind of play off of that on these people actually protesting over there. Take a look at this video.
Anyone got the back row? Yeah, you want to take the back right? Pull and talk for us. We've got a list over this way.
He really doesn't care. The man has no shame. So moral outrage is not an effective form of protest for Donald Trump. You know, what happens when liberal snowflakes like us get triggered is that, you know, his bigoted base dance around, you know, finding it hilarious. And it just seems to be completely impervious to that. What he hates is when people take the piss out of him. And, you know, he's got a really fragile ego. I would say that's the only sort of real leverage that we have over this man. He's like the most powerful man in the world, but he seems very vulnerable to being mocked.
Right.
Trying to take the piss out of him.
Yeah.
What'd you notice about all the guys in that video that were helping blow up this stupid blimp?
They're very light and loafers, I guess.
I was going to say beta males.
Yeah.
Like crazy all over the place there. Yeah, so the London mayor actually gave them permission to fly this stupid baby Trump blimp over the city while he's on his visit there.
Isn't it pretty crappy? You got to be in a country where you got to get permission to do that. It's pretty awesome to be one where you wouldn't need permission. Yeah. Just saying.
And what other? I mean, is that acceptable for any visiting, like, world leader?
Yeah, no.
No,
I was going to say, for people, I mean, well, at least here, you have the right to do whatever you want. But yeah, just from a world leader standpoint, you know, it doesn't, it's not.
Yeah, these people are so immature.
But then they'll point to Trump and how he talks to them at the NATO meetings and everything. Oh, is that how a world leader's supposed to act?
Yeah.
He's not your typical world leader.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing, are we going to talk about the NATO breakfast at all? So my favorite thing about that was when he really started going off on them, going off script.
Yeah.
And my brother pointed this out, is like, you see everyone else, and they're just like, you're going off script, man. You're not talking the way we're supposed to talk. He's like, they were all throwing out their political buzzwords of everything, you know, and it's like, they just, like, you could tell they didn't know what to do. And then
I have to take a look at the video. I've only heard things from it.
It's pretty
like
funny.
him telling them that they're not paying enough.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Germany, the one that's, like, criticizing us the most and Trump being president and everything is like way at the bottom of the list of like we're paying over 3% or something
3.8 or 3.5.
Yeah, they're paying like 1.18 percent of their GDP.
Yep.
Right? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
there's countries below 1, I believe.
Oh yeah, certainly.
And then I was kind of shocked that Greece was second place with like 2.2 or something like that.
No.
Or yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, it was Estonia.
Estonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in Greece? No.
No. What? No. So, yeah, it's just, they are. And so he's just saying it how it is.
Yep. That's what people like about him.
You know? I forget who said it, but it was like, it's like your friends that you. Oh, it was Greg Gutfeld on Fox said it. They're like that friend that you got to drive everywhere, but they never chip in for gas.
That's very funny. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually really funny. Keeping with Trump here, Trump announced his Supreme Court pick on Monday.
Yep.
But prior to Monday, Campus Reform went out on college campus and interviewed people and got their thoughts about the pick before it was even made. So let's take a look at that real quick.
I'm Calvin Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're in New York City talking to students about President Trump's Supreme Court pick. The only thing is he hasn't made that pick yet. Will people still have opinions on who it was, though? Let's find out. I think the big thing that's been in the news today, Supreme Court, Justice Kennedy stepping down, so there's a vacancy. All week people were worried about who it was going to be. This week he made his announcement. What's your reaction to the justice that he nominated today?
I'm honestly not surprised by his choice, but that's just worse for us.
I just saw the pick and I was like, it's almost at a point where you kind of expect that it's not going to be what you want.
He's quite, extreme in his views, and I don't know if it would make the Supreme Court very even.
I see it all over the news that he's racist and shit.
This new nominee is very racist, and I think it's starting a new wave of something very negative, and I'm really scared about what happens in the future and what choices he'll make.
So what reaction have you seen on social media today after the news?
Oh, outrage, as it should be.
If this is just a reoccurring thing, he keeps doing this with different positions and just doing whatever he wants, abusing his power.
Do you feel like his pick is an abuse of power?
Basically, yeah.
His entire cabinet and everyone he's chosen has been the white supremacist Legion of Doom, and it's dangerous to everyone who looks like me.
You feel like the Supreme Court nominee today kind of falls in that same line?
Of course. They should all wear white hoods and burn crosses at the Capitol, because that's exactly the move. That's what they're going for.
And the fact that he would put someone up there that is so racist and is not practicing the equality that we need to see, it's insulting, and he's not going to last. I mean,
so you're not a fan of the pick?
I'm really not.
I did speak to my dad a couple days ago, and I know he was not a huge fan of the decision that he made.
What would be your message to President Trump on what qualities you would want a Supreme Court justice to have?
Black, a black woman.
Is it wrong, though, to suggest someone be picked just on the color of their skin, though?
I mean, but I said black women for a reason. Black women were the only ones who really turned out in full majority to not vote for President Trump.
I think you should just listen to the people, get the opinions of what people actually want.
Do you think President Obama listened to the opinions of the people when he nominated 2 Supreme Court justices?
I was young then, so I can't say that either.
Listen to your people. That's what you were hired to do. You've never been hired to do anything, but...
Didn't they also hire him, though, to nominate Supreme Court justices?
They did.
If you were picking a Supreme Court justice, what qualities would you want them to have?
Someone who's actually just. I definitely want them to be liberal and look to the views of the minorities. Like, the previous Supreme Court justice was a swing vote. Like, you should have some balance. You shouldn't just be all on one side.
President Obama did pick 2 liberal justices, though.
But now it's all conservative.
We have to just keep getting our voices out there.
Keep resisting.
Yeah, we have to. Because, obviously, if that's his pick, then, there's nothing we can truly, do as, citizens other than, really get our voices out there that is not.
My first thought is we need to do some of these videos this summer, and maybe in the fall when it's less hot or something.
Oh my God.
Actually, I have a lot of time coming up now with the way my job is going to be slowing down a little bit. Would you be up for doing some of these videos?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Why?
I don't know how I feel about it'd be so hard to stay restrained with these idiots. You know what I mean?
It's
and
so
then
offensive
the last thing
how uninformed these people
because
are.
I don't know if I could hold back just from saying something, and then I need to worry about some crazy liberal kid running up from behind me and smashing me in the back of the head with something, you know? It's
just
so,
film. I'll do it.
It's what is wrong with saying you don't know? There's nothing wrong with that.
That actually feeds into something I wanted to say, which is there's a camera. I have an opportunity to have my 15 minutes.
I have my opportunity to hate on Trump.
No, just to have their 15 minutes of whatever. Where is this going? Am I going to be popular because of this video? Is it going to go viral or whatever?
Yeah, well, I think it's part of that, but the other part of it, I think, is this, like, they know they're supposed to hate Trump, and then anything he does.
Yeah.
So they have to oppose it, and they won't even say, oh, they made a pick today. Who was it?
Yeah,
because 100% of these people didn't know who he picked.
Yeah, one guy even
thought
said,
it was days ago.
Yeah, after the guy said, "What do you think of his pick today?"
Yeah, I mean, these are idiots, you know. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing.
No,
like, because you could be like, okay, you know, there's a pick coming, and be like, oh, it was made today. I thought it was going to be made Monday, or oh, I didn't know who was it.
Yeah,
all of these people didn't know who it was, but they just acted like they did. They go through the motions. They try to sound all smart, and they're just sounding dumber and dumber as it goes.
Gosh.
And it's just like, I don't know.
It was, and then there were a few standouts there. Like, I kept on thinking to myself the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, everybody kept on saying, they need to listen to the people. He needs to listen to the people. And I'm thinking to myself, he was elected by the people, especially by people like me who didn't want to vote for him because of the Supreme Court opening of Scalia.
Yeah.
Right? I voted for him because I knew he would pick someone at least marginally better than what Hillary Clinton
marginally? 50 times better. His worst pick.
But you have to understand that at the time I thought he was going to be liberal.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So you thought marginally, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew he would have Gorsuch?
No, it was like hitting it out of the park and into the next park in the next state over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So I mean... these are people also that don't understand how the government works.
Yes.
When he wins the election, he has the right to choose the Supreme Court, and then it has to get passed through the Senate. But that's.
But then you also had the one guy who he wanted the next Supreme Court person to be a black woman.
Yeah.
Why? Because they came out in droves to vote against Trump.
To not vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Not vote against Trump.
Yeah.
So basically, they came out in droves to not do anything.
Yeah. And it was like, what the hell does that have to do with being a justice?
Oh my God!
I mean, it was no qualifications. They could come up with no qualification. The only qualification that the other girl came up with is I want a liberal on there.
Yeah, which again, the Supreme Court justices are just there to interpret the law in comparison to the Constitution.
Yeah, it shouldn't be liberal or conservative.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with your
constitutionalist would be great.
Yeah.
You also had, in regards to, I was thinking of something there. The fact that I'm just drained today. I'm trying to think of where I
had a thought and then it just went.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just crazy how uninformed these individuals are. I mean, on top of being arrogantly trying to answer the questions, they don't know anything. Here's what the point was I was going to make. You have it is basically a half and half court, right?
Yeah.
This girl wants an all liberal court. Well, what's the point of having 9 justices then? Why not just have one?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be
one
a variance
supreme
of
justice.
Opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it just makes no sense.
Okay, so in regards to the Supreme Court pick, he announced who the pick was. And on Monday, he nominated Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court, likely to change the character of the highest court for generations to come, according to The Blaze. Brett Kavanaugh is 53 years old, so he's semi-young. Okay, He has a long time left, up to 40-some years, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to stick it out like Ginsburg.
Yep. What's she, 85, 86 or something like that?
She's near 90.
87?
Yeah. He worked in the Solicitor General's office in the George H.W. Bush administration, was a clerk for Justice Anthony Kennedy, so he actually clerked for the guy that's leaving. He also worked under Kenneth Starr and helped draft the impeachment against former President Bill Clinton. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. I mean, you can look him up and go into all the stuff that you actually want to do, but if you are interested, I thought of the top 4 that that President Trump had rumored to pick out, he was one of my least favorite that I was looking at. Amy Barrett was the one that I was really hoping would win.
I was hoping she would get it,
Not
too.
only is she a staunch conservative constitutionalist, but she was also a female, which if
Hard to
Susan
argue
Collins or the other woman from Alaska or whatever, Lisa Murkowski, I think it is, or any Democrats would argue against that person being the nominee for the Supreme Court. You could just claim sexism, and again, like Crowder, use their tactics against them.
Anti-woman.
Why are you being anti-woman? Why are you being a sexist? Just because she's a woman?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what else comes out of their mouth. Now you've stuck that in their path for them. You know, so it's just unbelievable. Anything else on the court pick? I just kind of want to get it done.
Yeah, no, I hope he. I mean, he apparently he's very strong on guns, on the Second Amendment, so that's good.
He kind of went along with Obamacare.
Yeah, Obamacare. Yeah, there was another ruling too, but that was the big one. He was basically the architect of the idea that the fee of Obamacare would be a tax and not a fine, which kind of helped pass it through. So that kind of stinks. And then there was something else too, but other than that, seems like a really good pick.
Yeah.
So, and again, way better than anything that would have been put up there by Hillary. 85.
So
she's 85.
She's 85? Oh, she doesn't look a day over 110.
Yeah, right.
So this was released on July 6th, the June jobs report. Beat expectations according to Unbiased America. It says that the U.S. added 213,000 jobs in June, topping economists' forecasts of 195,000 jobs. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4% from 3.8%, which is a 0.2% difference, obviously, largely due to a big influx of 601,000 Americans entering the labor force, which pushed workforce participation up from 62.7% to 62.9%. Wages were up as well, with average hourly earnings increasing 2.7% from a year earlier. The manufacturing sector added 36,000 jobs in June, an acceleration from 19,000 jobs. That's a crazy increase. Added in May. Over the last year, the manufacturing sector has added 285,000 jobs. And it says, and the job numbers from April and May were revised upwards. So they always revise them once they get true statistics in. With April's employment gain revised from 159,000 to 175,000, and May revised from 223,000 to 244,000. Those are big increases.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty crazy. So he's winning.
Get a big jobs.
So
that's what people voted for.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, that's basically it. Did you have anything else that you wanted to throw in?
No. One thing, when I was looking up Ginsburg's age, an interesting thing here.
The crazy thing about it is they didn't keep track of records back then, so we don't really know for sure.
Well, are we agers now? There was birthers. Now there's agers.
I mean, you have to look for the stone tablets that they chiseled at the time of her birth.
Yeah. But one thing that I just kind of caught my eye here was apparently during the Obama presidency, some progressive lawyers and activists called for her to retire so that Obama would be able to appoint a like-minded successor, but she wanted to stay in the job as long as she was mentally fit. Ooh, big mistake.
Dang.
Big mistake.
Here's the thing. Shh. Listen, I keep on saying this. I'm not hoping for her death.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? That is a lifetime position for as long as she wants to do it and can do it. She has every right to do it.
Here's the thing, though.
Yep.
She's holding out. She does not want to retire under Trump, right? But if he wins again, and as of right now, everything's working in his favor, this guy's favor, right? Yep. Despite what the media tells you, despite what the left tells you, it's always the opposite of what's going on, you know? Like, this guy's a warmonger, except he's making peace with North Korea and talking to Putin and everything and trying to make peace there. And the Middle East is seeming to come to peace in some areas and everything.
And if he gets elected, the economy's going to tank.
Yeah,
and
except it's all going up and people are bringing jobs back to America. Like, it's just insane the way they talk about these things. If he wins another term in 2020... 2024. Do the math.
She won't make it to 2024.
No, I don't think she will. Right?
God bless her if she does.
3 plus 7, so she would be 93.
Yeah.
She'll be 93.
Yep.
He is going to make another Supreme Court pick.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, listen,
there's even a couple of other, there's at least one other, I think that's in their like to the high 70s or something like that.
I would love to see Roberts to retire.
Could you imagine if he put in 4? Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's a strong possibility.
That's crazy.
You know, and you know, I agree with you. It's a lifetime position and you should be able to stay in there as long as you want. But I mean, if you're sticking it out just to spite the president and everything, and missing your kind of like that retirement age frame, which is way past now for her, of like enjoying those last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically like
she's
having a miserable life. Now, one thing it did say in here is that being on the Supreme Court has kept her distracted and cope with the death of her husband. So that's one thing she said. Basically, like when her husband died, serving on the Supreme Court kind of kept her, you know, it helped her cope with that. And so maybe it's something she enjoys, you know, like genuinely. And, you know.
I mean, look, Antonin Scalia and her were actually really good friends, diametrically opposed to each other.
Yep.
But they were actually quite good friends and went out and ate lunch together and went to events together all the time, apparently. They really got along.
All right, here, I pulled them up. Neil Gorsuch is 50. Elena Kagan is 58. Sotomayor is 64.
Kagan has actually surprised a lot of people that she isn't as liberal as she's actually voted.
And they say that happens all the time. They say that happens all the time. Like a Republican will put in someone they think is conservative, and they'll vote one a different way than you would think, and the same thing the other way too. Alito 68. Stephen Breyer 79.
Breyer.
Yep.
I couldn't have named him if I tried to think of him.
Ginsburg 85, Clarence Thomas 70, Anthony Kennedy 81, and then Roberts is 63. He'll be there for a while.
Sucks.
But Breyer 79, Ginsburg 85, Clarence Thomas 70. I mean, that's
I'm surprised.
They're up there.
I gotta say, Clarence Thomas looks older. Than 70, but he is the best on the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah.
So we have hopefully we have another 30 years in
him
for that.
Breyer, who the other one who was in their 70s, was nominated by Bill Clinton. So yeah, it's so I mean, you figure, especially if he wins another one, you figure Ginsburg and Breyer 79, that would put him at 80, 81, 85 by the end of 2024.
79?
Yeah.
No, 7 years would be 86.
86, yeah. So 85, 86, yeah. So, I mean, there's a strong possibility for one more, possibly two. And then, you know, I mean, it's crazy.
In a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I mean, again, here's my thought process on the Supreme Court pick. Again, it was an establishment Republican, which I don't like, you know. Was it a bone to throw to the Democrats as someone that they could vote for, knowing that Ginsburg is probably going to retire and we are going to replace her with a conservative?
Yeah. And the other thing that I heard, I don't know if you heard this, but apparently it was coming out that he knew from the beginning he was going to pick Kavanaugh, because Kavanaugh clerked for Kennedy, and Kennedy basically talked to him and said, hey, I'm only going to step down if you pick Kavanaugh.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I mean, like, this is he had a basic understanding that there was a strong possibility that Kavanaugh would get it, and that's what made him comfortable with stepping down. So that's one thing. Who knows how true that is, but that's one thing that I've heard, that apparently it's been Kavanaugh all along. Everything else was just kind of a show. But the other thing that I heard that I told you about is that they're thinking that if they get another one, that Amy Barrett would be the next one.
Yeah. Or Mike Lee.
Yeah.
Those are the only two I'm excited about.
Yep.
So. Good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in for the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. Again, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on KLRN Internet Radio, where they have also put me on the iTunes, iHeart, and Google Play. So just search on any of those platforms for the Generation Y Conservative. Hit like, follow along, share, and tag people that you think may be interested if you're on Facebook or anything like that, or even on Twitter. You can actually share the videos too. In the meantime, have a great night, and God bless America.